What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another video, and actually a sit down video. It's been a while since we've sat here and caught up, so I wanted to do a Q&A. I haven't done one in a while, and I feel like these videos are good ways for me to connect with you guys and like talk about things that I don't always talk about in my vlogs. I love a good Q&A. I always click on Q&As in my subscription boxes, so I hope you guys like them too. I just asked for you guys' questions on Instagram like I usually do, so thank you for everybody who submitted questions. I'm excited to answer them and just have like a fun little catch-up personal sit-down video with you guys. Haley Freeze asks, if you could switch places with anyone for a day, who would it be? Thought about this for a while. The possibilities are truly endless. There's plenty of people I think I would enjoy switching places with for a day, but currently I am like obsessed with Emma Chamberlain. I have been. She's my favorite YouTuber. I mean, you know, she's not on YouTube as much anymore, but she is like still my favorite YouTuber. I am just obsessed with everything that she does, and I would love to just live a day in her life and see like who she actually talks to on a daily basis. I don't know if that sounds creepy, but like just what a day in her life is. I bet it would be a lot more busy than I feel like it would be quite busy and a lot, but it would just be interesting to actually like experience it and live it. I'm sure a lot of you guys saw her new home tour that she did with AD. That video in her house is just, I mean, I was so blown away. Hopefully the day I would get to switch places with her would be like a day she was just chilling at home, so I could just walk around and enjoy the space. But also just her being like such like a high level of influencer and, you know, essentially like a famous person. I guess it would be interesting to just see what that level of being such like a huge internet person would be like. The next question is from Elfie. I don't exactly know how to pronounce the username. The picture is a cat, so it could be a cat inquiring, but the question is, what do you miss about old YouTube? So I define like old YouTube as, I mean, obviously I guess when YouTube started, but I primarily think like when I first started watching YouTube, which was I think 2009. I mean, I watched like Shane Dawson and some OG YouTubers before that, but when I really got into like the beauty community on YouTube was like 2009, 2010, and I would say early YouTube goes up to like 2015-ish. I miss a lot of things, but I think mostly like it's just so nostalgic thinking back to those times. So I think a lot of what I miss is just like, it doesn't necessarily make sense. It just is that feeling of nostalgia, but just how like carefree and pure early YouTube days were. Like there was no like blueprint, right? It was just like your only blueprint was like watching other people and seeing what I guess was working for them. But it was just a gamble, like, and I started in 2010, so long ago, and it was just fun to like figure it all out. And I think it was fun to be doing something at a time that I didn't know anyone else that was doing YouTube. Before my sister started her channel, I literally like knew no one. I didn't tell my friends, I didn't tell like anyone at school. People eventually found out, but it was just this little like secret to myself, and it was this like community that I never knew existed. I met so many friends through starting YouTube that still to this day I keep in touch with a lot of them. I think another thing I miss is how you could legitimately make a video about like the funniest topic. Like you could make a whole 30-minute long video about your blush collection. Like you could still do that, and you know, there's no rules on YouTube being a creator, but it's just so funny. Like the things we would make videos about, like products I've used up, like literally showing a box of trash and talking about it for like 15 minutes. That like was my life, you know what I mean? Like it's, do you guys remember those videos, Empties? I was thinking about those today and I was like, I kind of want to bring those back, but I am still so grateful to like have this platform. And as it's evolved, I mean, things have definitely changed, but I feel like my audience has stayed core, and my audience has stayed, I'm not gonna say the same because we've all grown together, we've grown up together, but it's been nice to know that like a lot of my core audience has been the same since those early days. And I know that that's like one of the most special things about my viewers and my audience that I just appreciate and think is so cool. I got another question about YouTube. I guess they were like right next to each other. Danny Nunez, and they said, how are you navigating your late 20s? I feel stuck sometimes. I wanted to talk about this because I've been experiencing this lately, so you're not alone. I've also talked to my friends that are my age and a little older, 29, 30, and apparently almost everyone, at least the women I've spoken to, go through this like 20 27, 28-year-old, I don't want to say crisis, but people just tell me when you're 27 or 28, something shifts. Maybe it's like a panic about turning 30 and like, what have I accomplished? What am I doing with my life? And I feel that a lot. I try. I'm not going to say I always succeed, but I try not to panic too much about what's going to happen in my future. It's easy to do so. Like I said, I am a worrier, and that's something that it just like is a struggle. It's hard to tell yourself like not to worry and to turn that off if you just are naturally like that. I think it's just easy to be like, where am I going to be in 5 years? And like, what am I doing with my life? And like, is this the right path for me? Just accept that everyone kind of will go through this. Maybe not at that age, but everyone has these like crisis moments and freak out times where you kind of question everything. And I think my biggest advice, which I try to follow myself, I've been feeling this way a lot lately. I don't want to say ever since I've turned 28 because it's only been 2 weeks. But I feel like there was almost a little shift in late 27, early 28. I think I've been trying to remind myself, take things one step at a time and also one task at a time, one area of life at a time. And don't try not to like try to change everything all at once. Like focus on what is like the biggest thing I want to make progress with right now, whether it's, you know, a career move or saving money, taking one thing at a time and making like small goals for, you know, each day, each week, each month, and just trying not to think about it all as this like overwhelming doom and question mark. So I don't have all the answers, but that is probably the best advice I could give from my perspective right now, and just knowing that we're all in this together and I understand where you're at. I feel stuck sometimes too, and I question my life and I question just my purpose, and it's totally normal. The next question is from Ellie. Would you ever revive your podcast? I still go back and listen to old episodes. Love you, Queen. Thank you for streaming my old episodes. So I don't plan to revive my podcast in the way that it was before. It ended up being something I liked doing for a certain amount of time, and then I didn't like the editing process, and just having a solo podcast was a bit of a challenge. I think having a co-host and having two people host a podcast, it's just more conversation. It's more things it's a back and forth conversation, right? But I do miss having the like non-pressure of filming and having that like quick audio and talking to you guys about any topic, like even if it's just something small that's on my mind. So that is why on my Patreon I created a new tier that should be launching. It might already be up when this video is up, depending on when this goes live. I'll put something on the screen saying either when it's launching or if it's already up. But I have a new tier called mini podcasts on my Patreon. It is only $3 a month, so it's my cheapest tier, and you can access every mini podcast that is posted, and they're going to be casual. I'm going to try to edit them as little as possible because I want them to be short little bites. I'm envisioning 5 or 10-ish minutes, but y'all know I love to talk, so some of them definitely may be a little longer, but I'm envisioning just like little bite-sized podcasts about a certain topic, whether it's sex, relationships, wellness, my fitness journey and routine, something that's on my mind that day, my current favorite things at the moment, or struggles that I'm feeling, or what I'm currently panicking about in life. Nothing is off limits, and it's not going to be all happy-go-lucky. It's just going to be honest. My Patreon link will be on the screen, as well as first thing in the description box down below if any of you guys want to go check out the new tier. Okay, by far the question that I got the most for this Q&A, I can't believe I've waited this long in the video to answer it, is something along these lines. I got so many of these. I'm not even kidding you guys. I always get questions about moving, but this Q&A, this question, this is from Lubsy. Do you see yourself living on the East Coast now that Megan has moved there? Essentially because Megan, you know, is moving back over there. And we've never been this far apart before. We lived in Idaho and Oregon, which a lot of people don't know this, but Oregon and Idaho are right next to each other. Yes, a lot of people think Idaho is like in Iowa or Illinois, like it's over in the Midwest. Nope, the Pacific Northwest. I didn't really know where Idaho was either until like 2016, so it's fine. So that part, I haven't exactly accepted it yet that she's far. And what is unfortunate is flying between Vermont area and Boise is very expensive because they're both smaller areas, not as populated areas, and smaller airports, and it's just more pricey when you're not flying from like a big airport to another big airport. But we do have like our annual family trip, and Megan and I always see each other. Like the longest I think we haven't seen each other ever is probably like 6 months or something like that. That's a stretch, but probably around there. But usually we see each other a few times a year, and I know that we will, and I'm so excited to explore Vermont. But I haven't really answered the question. In terms of moving, I don't have plans to move away from Idaho anytime soon. Will I at some point in my life live on the East Coast again? Maybe. It's not in my plan right now, but you never know what's gonna happen. You never know where life's gonna take you, and work opportunities and people and family. So never say never, but it is not in my like immediate, you know, short-term, long-term plans right now. I do not have any future plans of moving anytime soon, and every day I fall more in love with Idaho and where I live and how freaking cute and small town feel, but like everything I need in a city is here, and I'm so lucky to live here. I truly appreciate it and love it more like every single day. I don't love the winter, but it's not too bad, but it is like just gorgeous here. And if you ever come here, you'll know Jared's work is here. He does roofing as his primary job, and all of their clients are in the Boise area or the Idaho area. So as long as he's doing roofing, which he doesn't want to stop, and we're together, we're probably going to live here. And who knows, maybe in 5 years or 10 years we'll move somewhere else. But for now and for the you know, short-term future, I am gonna be here. So that is my answer to all of my moving questions. The next question is from Sophia Carmody, and the question is, why don't you want kids? No hate, just genuinely curious. I do get this question every so often, and I got a couple questions about it in this Q&A. I usually get questions about like kids, marriage, and moving. So I got a lot of those like I usually do. You know, the big things in life. I want to preface by saying that my mind is open to changing, and I am not a solidified no. If I do decide to be a mother, I would be 100% like, let's go for it. My opinion on my life does not have anything to do with what you should choose for your life, and I know that being a parent is so many people's goal and dreams, and that it's very important to them. And I don't want it to seem like I don't take that into account, because I know for other people this is something they've thought about, and this is something they've dreamed of their whole life. And for me, it's just not exactly that way. I've just never pictured myself being a mom. I've never seen it for myself, and I'm okay with that. I don't think everybody has to be maternal, and I mean, you can be maternal in other ways, right? Like my dog is my son, and I want to be like a dog mom, and I want to travel when I want to, and I want to take fun girls trips to see my friends, and I want to be able to just randomly like take time to leave the country if I want to. Another reason is just like the price. I mean, raising a kid is so insanely expensive. It's wild to me. The responsibility, I'm just gonna be honest, like the responsibility of like this child, like I'm already such a worrier. I worry so much just about like my own life and my dog. Like I have been so worried about Squirtle the past like year with some health things going on with him, and I would just like take worrying to a whole new level with being a parent, I feel. The last reason, because I could really go on, is just, I mean, to be honest, I don't know if I would want to be a kid coming into the world nowadays. Who knows what the world is going to be like in 10, 20, 50 years. And I mean, that's always like a gamble, right? With kids, like when we were born, you know, our parents were probably like, who knows? Nobody knows what the world and the state of the world is going to be like. Climate change, and I just feel like the world's kind of a nasty place right now. And that's not a whole reason to not bring a kid into the world, but it's just one of my reasons that I think about that I don't know if I would want my kid to be living in this world in 30, 40, 50 years. It's just a lot of responsibility and a huge weight. So it's a lot to think about. And like I said, if I do decide to have a kid in the future, I will have thought about it for quite some time before making that decision. This one is from mbree19. And they said, out of all the years you've been on YouTube, do you have a favorite year and why? I thought this question was really cool. I don't think I've ever been asked this actually, and it was fun to think about it and reflect. I think if I had to pick one, it would be a really exciting year, which was 2013, because holy shit, so much happened in my life in 2013. It was nuts. I'm pretty sure that's the year I hit like 500,000 subscribers, which 500,000 was like a really huge milestone for me. Like that was a really big milestone. I went to prom that year. I graduated high school that year, and just making videos about that stuff was just nostalgic. I moved to LA that summer and I started college, and I moved into my first apartment. Like 2013 was nuts. I also had a lot of like trips and exciting brands I was working with because that was kind of the beginning of doing brand deals, was like 2012, 2013 for me. So it was very exciting to like have my own manager and like move to LA and start college and have my roommates and move into my first apartment. Like 2013 was just a lot happened in one year, and it was all just like a really exciting time. I also had a good amount of meetups that year, and I think that was the times of like VidCon and maybe BeautyCon. I can't quite remember, but I know I met a lot of you guys. I think that has to be my favorite if I had to pick one year on YouTube. Next question. I'm loving the username. Crying in Crocs asked, do you still smoke or use weed much at all? I really only smoke weed at concerts or social events or festivals. I smoked weed like at Electric Forest, and I smoked a little bit at an Odessa concert last week. I don't really smoke at all in my day-to-day life. I don't remember the last time I smoked like in my home or like casually. I've talked about this like on my Patreon and stuff, why I don't really like smoke weed anymore, but I think I've talked about it on YouTube a little bit too, but it is rare for me. I do enjoy it, like I said, at like a festival or a show or something where I'm like enjoying music and I'm with friends. I appreciate her in small quantities, but definitely I don't see myself ever again in my life being like a regular weed smoker. Another great username, Happy Bread Slice, and the question is current short-term goals. I like this. I try not to think of life in terms of longer than like 3 years or something, because it stresses me the hell out, and you never know, life is always changing and leading you to new places. I would say to be more consistent with YouTube as well as my other platforms. There's so many places to post nowadays. It stresses me the hell out. I'm like, oh god, I haven't made a TikTok in 2 or 3 weeks, fuck. And then I'm like, wait, but YouTube is like where I should be focusing my primary energy. Oh shit, my Patreon. I've missed being more consistent, and it is when I'm like thriving and feeling my most productive and best self is when I am consistent. So that's one. Another one is just like cooking more at home, which we've already kind of been doing. I just love cooking dinner with Jared, like, and just having that time to be together and make something and eat together. I don't know, I just love it. I don't know if that's like a silly short-term goal, but just like making more yummy recipes at home. Another one I would say is reading more. I've been a little bit better about this, like the past like 6 months or so. I want to read more. I really still don't read that much. I usually choose my phone or TV shows over reading, and I want to pick reading a little bit more often. I think I had another one and I don't remember what it is, so I guess I'll leave it there. I mean, I have a lot of things that I could always be better at doing, but those are the first ones that came to mind. So Saskia Carey asks, what is the honest truth about moving in with a partner? What are the highs and lows? I love this question, and I got some forms of this, like, how has it been living with Jared? It's been almost a year since we moved in together. It'll be a year in like 3 weeks, which is nuts. The past like 6 months have really flown by, the past whole year. Overall, amazing. I'm so glad that I like made this jump, and I knew that I wanted to. I didn't have any reservations. I think maybe my only slight reservation with us moving in together, like I knew it was right. I knew Jared would be a good roommate. I knew that I wanted to take that step. I guess we did do it like, I won't say early, but it seems like a little early. Like I guess we had been dating for about a year, a little over a year, like a year and a couple months before we moved in together, which I feel like if I was looking back, I'd be like, ooh, that's like a little early. I think maybe I would have thought that I would have waited like 2 years before moving in with someone, but I think the timing just worked out for both of us. I think my only thing that I was like slightly nervous about was not having enough alone time, but the highs and lows. Okay, we'll start with, I guess, the lows and then we'll end off on the highs, because there's definitely a lot more highs. I would say the lows are sometimes not that I don't feel like I have enough alone time, but I definitely don't have nearly as much as I had before. Like before, I spent, even when Jared and I were dating, like he would pretty much sleep over like every other night, 3 or 4 times a week, and then so half the time I would have the whole night to myself to, you know, do what I wanted and sleep alone. And I do actually much prefer sleeping with him, especially since he stopped snoring. Oh my god, thank the Lord. I always have that alone time when he goes to work and I'm like at the house, or when I go to do my workout classes, or when I go out to meet a friend and stuff like that, and he gives himself a lot of that time too. I would say the only other like low is it's just harder to make your time with your partner, if you're living with a partner, like as special. Not to say that we don't carve out that time, but it's just not quite the same as it is when you're living separately and you're dating, because it's like you wait, you know, you get like ready for a date and then you go out and you like see that person, and maybe, you know, you guys have a sleepover, but you might not see them again for however long, and the time is like a little bit more intentional, I guess you could say. Whereas when you're living together, it's just harder because you're together so much that it's sometimes like the time, it's hard to remember to make the time feel special. And all of the time together doesn't have to be this like, oh my god, we're trying so hard to make it special. It's nice to both be doing your own things and take time for yourself, but it's also like nice to have that special time. So I think that's why I really like I said, cooking dinners together and having our dinners together and having like those things, like watching our shows together. And most nights we like watch shows together, and just having those like carved out time where we are going to like spend time together and planning date nights and things like that. Now on to the highs. Jared is a great roommate as well as a great partner. He is so helpful to my life. First of all, in terms of finances, I mean, I'm paying half of what I was paying before the past 6 years of my life in rent. Like my rent is cut in half. That is so helpful to my life, and I've been able to save more money and just have more like spending money and spend on other things than I haven't been able to the past few years, just paying for all of my rent by myself. So that's super helpful. Other than that, he's just so helpful. He does all the dishes and he literally has never once complained about it. He's good at cooking and cooks with me. When I get home from the grocery store, he comes down to the garage and takes the grocery bags up and puts everything away. Unless I'm doing a grocery haul, then I'm like, don't touch anything. And if we decide to have like a cleaning day together, he's really fast and speedy at cleaning, and I'm really fucking slow. And I just love him, and I love spending time with him every day. So it's been great, and I answered that question for quite a while. Okay, I'm gonna power through these last few questions because this video has been long, but I do want to answer them. Jenna Perodu, sorry if I pronounced it wrong, says, I'm sure you've answered this, but what would you be doing if not YouTube? I love this question, and there's 2 things I would be doing if not for YouTube, and who's to say if I might try to add on one of these things into my life in the next year or 2 or 5. Like, these are things that I think I would like to explore more in life. And the first one is professional organizing. Nobody will be surprised about that. Nothing makes me happier than organizing a pantry, a closet, like really getting in there with the containers. And there actually are services like that in Boise, so that's always an option and something that excites me. And the other one is home staging, which probably a lot of you guys already know what that is if you've watched like Selling Sunset. But it's basically like styling rooms for the buyers of a home and they don't view the house empty. They can see what it looks like really nice, and they can kind of envision, oh my gosh, this beautiful living room and kitchen. And I think it's something that would excite me. So I think that's my top 2 things that I would do if it wasn't for YouTube / do in the future. All right, the last question I'm gonna ask is from Angie's Adventures. What have you been up to these days? What fills your days the most? I think this is a good one to end it off. So what have I been up to these days? I have been enjoying like cozy fall in my home. I have been in like tidying, like fall cleaning mode. I've been in like new season energy. I've been trying to do walks more, Walktober, as my sister inspired me to do. I've been really enjoying cooking. Like I said, I've been enjoying my productivity and really like planning out my days. I've been enjoying a good chai tea latte, hot or iced. I go to a workout class, I would say 3 to 5 times a week, depending on the week. I've been enjoying this whole year being more dedicated to my health and fitness, specifically with working out and just time at home. Honestly, that might sound boring, but I love some good like cozy nights in at home and just like lighting a candle and maybe having a glass of wine and just relaxing and being present in my life and present in my home and hanging out with Jared and Squirtle. So that's pretty much what I've been up to and what's been filling my cup and my days. I am gonna end off this video because I need to go get ready for my workout class, and I filmed for a really long time. So I hope you guys liked this. If you made it until the end, give this video a thumbs up and leave me a comment down below. I love engaging with you guys in the comments and chatting with you guys. So I appreciate you. I love you so much, and I'll see you guys very soon in another video.